You're listening to The Jeff Zapp Show.
He's not a conspiracy theorist. He's just a patriot, standing for God, family, and country. Now, here's your host, the Zapper.
All right, here we are. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Jeff Zapp Show. Zapper at the con tonight. Flight attendants, prepare the cabin for departure. Make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full, upright, and locked position, and that your seatbelt is securely fastened about you. Thanks to all of our listeners for joining us. I greatly appreciate you tuning into the live stream. If you're listening to the podcast, thanks so much for subscribing and listening to us while you're on the go. It's 19 May 2022, and I wanted to wish a very special happy 7th birthday to my nephew, Weston. I know he's not probably listening, but maybe mom and dad are. So my nephew turned 7 years old today. He's 7 years old. Hard to believe that. I also want to shout out to my paisano, Big Joe Caruso, a.k.a. Big Chief, for sharing our broadcast information with his coworkers. We go back a long way, Joe, and you know that if you're watching or listening, certainly appreciate it. And we had a caller in the other night. So sharing our broadcast information with his coworkers, and if you all would do the same, I would greatly appreciate that. It's one of those things that we can kind of work together. If you partner with me, subscribe, like, and share this content with your family and friends, I'd certainly be grateful. You can also check out our website. If you're new here, it's thejeffzappshow.com, where you'll find the latest broadcast information and links to all social media and to our archive shows. Tonight, we're hopefully streaming live on 3 platforms. We've got Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. So we'll be taking advantage of the chat functions or the Rumble rants if it's up and working. For some reason, I'm using Melon tonight because we're going to have a special guest here in just a few minutes. But I'll try to keep up with the comments. Phone lines will be opening up a little bit later this evening. And the phone number to call is 1-843-305-3075. That's 1-843-305-3075. 3075. And what I can also do, I believe, is let me take a look at the ticker over here and see if we can get this. Maybe we'll show that. There we go. How about that? So a little bit different setup tonight. If you like what you hear and you want to support the show, there's a few different ways to accomplish that, by the way. You can simply click the link on our website that says, buy me a cup of coffee. Alternatively, if you're in the market for Giza bed dream sheets, linens, bath towels, my slippers, my pillows, or anything else that mypillow.com sells, you can use promo code ZAPP, Z-A-P-P, and you'll receive up to 66% off of your next order. Visit mypillow.com/ZAPP for more information. Thank you for supporting the program. We certainly do appreciate all your generosity, if I can talk tonight. So, how's everybody doing? I've got my teleprompter up tonight, which is something that I've been fabricating for the past few days, and I finally finished it. So that's one of the projects. I've been crossing off a majority of the items on my to-do or honey-do list, and we've got a graduation party this weekend for my son, who's graduating from Bluffton High School. So I've been trying to get things squared away on the home front. As someone recently quipped to me, you're jack of all trades, master of a few. And that's true. And recently, I feel like I've been like Bob Vila lately, completing these home projects from electrical and plumbing to painting, cleaning windows and screens. But now the work is completed and we're ready to celebrate. And I love Thursdays also. It's one of those things that I've always enjoyed. It reminds me of my time in high school. I don't know about you, but I won't tell you how old I am, but I'm old enough to remember back Thursday nights. That's when Magnum PI episodes were on, and back in the days of the VCR, and those older folks are the folks that are going, VCR? Yeah, we used to use a VCR. What did he say? I know what you're thinking, and you're right. That was Thomas Sullivan Magnum, who used to comment about that, and he would say as he talked to himself out loud or explaining his thoughts to viewers during the episode, and well, I don't know, it was just something I enjoyed. Maybe it was the lifestyle I was intrigued with, living in Hawaii. He had robbed Master's estate, always involved in some interesting investigation and driving that red sports car, right? That 1980 Ferrari 308 GTS. Yeah, I think it would be pretty nice. So let's go back here and let's see if we can do the chat. As I mentioned before, our guest will be joining us here in just a few minutes. Mike Covert will be joining us at 7:15. I better go back to my other screen. So bear with me just a minute. As I said, I've got him all right on Messenger, and he should be good. So here in a few minutes, he'll be joining us. Anyway, after explaining all that and having a little fun with the intro, life is good. Even with all of this craziness happening around us in today's world, I witnessed a verbal altercation today. This was something else. I don't know, man. I always seem to stumble into some event, and it's pretty crazy. Either someone trying to run into me head on as they're testing out their Chrysler 300M, which happened to me. Was it last weekend or the weekend before? I was leaving Publix on a Sunday. And this guy decided that he was going to see how fast he could go down Buck Island Road, and he started coming a little left to center. I'll share that story for another time. But there I am at Publix picking up a few things today, and as I'm walking into the Publix, I noticed that this lady gets out of her car and is walking to the car in front of her, which the lady is waiting for a person to pull out of a parking spot. And the black lady gets out, and she looks at this lady like, "You get back in your car." This altercation occurring over a darn parking spot. And best I can tell, the one lady was just way too impatient, the lady behind at the end of the line. And she came out to say, "Hey, he's not moving. Move your car." And the black lady that got out of the car, she was not having any of it. I thought there was going to be some fisticuffs. Needless to say, I was kind of chuckling. I was going to say, "Get her." But, I figured, it was best just probably to just walk into the store. And I saw the manager. As you probably know, those that know me really well, I talk to everybody. So first I'm saying hi to the folks in the bakery. And then as I get into the deli and the meat department, then I saw Virgil, and he goes, "Hey, how's it going, Jeff?" And I said, "Were you just outside taking care of that almost physical altercation?" And he said, "No, I didn't know anything about it." So anyway, bottom line, this is just a reminder and a public service message to take a deep breath in those situations, folks. We all get into them. Here in Beaufort County, if you're, on the speedway out there in 278 or on the parkway, people cutting you off and weaving in and out of traffic, it's what happens. As my buddy Al says, let's be kind to one another out there. So take it easy and, try to find a amicable solution to that. So, hey, on another note, how's that Build Back Better working out for you? My goodness. Inflation is roaring with gasoline on average up 48%. That's probably higher than that, honestly. I paid $5 for a gallon of gas yesterday to fill up the vet. And so I put the high test in at the 93. But energy prices alone are up over 30%. There's a shortage of baby formula, which is no laughing matter, especially for those moms that are needing the moms and dads that need the formula for their children. But apparently we can continue to borrow money from China and the U.S. taxpayers to send aid over to Ukraine to the tune of $40 billion, not to mention the deficits from the COVID nonsense, which have racked up in excess of $5 trillion, I think, right now. It's fiat money. Let's just print more. I've got a tree. It's right out there by my alligator that decided to come visit before dinner. And it just prints money. So if you want some Monopoly money, come on over and I'll ping you with my address and you can just come out to the tree and it magically produces the money. Apparently that's, there's no oversight for any of this nonsense. So that's Build Back Better. However, on a positive front, at least, it seems the Ministry of Truth, Policy of Truth, the so-called White House Disinformation Board has been put on pause after the resignation of its leader, Nina Jankowicz. Did you hear this? So let's just see what happens. It's such a clown show. It's a circus show up there in D.C., and I'm telling you what. Meanwhile, I keep asking myself, where's Hunter? It's like, where's Waldo? Has anyone spotted him and the big guy lately together? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. In other news events, I was reading this, as I've mentioned before. I have so many different subscriptions to all the news because I do the independent research and investigation. I always say you've got to do your own research. You just can't listen to one news outlet, whether you listen to Fox or any of those folks out there. But here's a story I wanted to share with you, and it really just got me angry and upset. It's a day or two old, and the title is "Teen Girl Disappears at NBA Game and Turns Up 11 Days Later in Nude Photos on Sex Trafficking Site." And this was posted on PJ Media, and I want to give credit to the author. It was written by Kevin Downey Jr. Listen to this story. A 15-year-old girl attended a Dallas Mavericks basketball game at the American Airlines Center with her father on April 8th, 2022. She got up to use the restroom and never came back. The girl went to the restroom before halftime, and when she didn't return, the father told security she was missing. I can't imagine this. So they searched the arena. The girl wasn't found, and the father was told to go home. I'm telling you what, man, they would open up a whole can of whoop butt, man. I just can't even imagine at this point. So I'm pulled into the story now because I'm intrigued. I'm like, what in the heck happened? Well, surveillance video shows the girl leaving the arena with a man in his 40s. The father called the police department there in Dallas, the Dallas Police Department, and was told to call the cops in his hometown of North Richland Hills, thinking the girl was a runaway. If I took my daughter to a basketball game and she went missing, and I'm sure those dads that are out there, I mean, it would be full out a search party right now. Well, they thought that she was a runaway, and the North Richland Hills police in turn told him to call the Dallas police because that is where she disappeared. The American Airlines Center claims the man who was seen leaving with the girl got in with a counterfeit ticket. 11 days later, her parents were sent a nude picture of her from a sex trafficking site. Frustrated with the Dallas Police Department, the family contacted the Houston-based Texas Counter-Trafficking Initiative. The girl's parents gave them a picture of the missing teen. Oklahoma City police raided an extended stay America hotel where they found the girl, and she had been raped numerous times. 8 people were arrested and charged with human trafficking, rape, and the distribution of child pornography. The family then hired attorney Zeke Fortenberry. Using facial recognition technology, the Texas Counter-Trafficking Initiative was able to locate the girl in less than a day. She was being trafficked almost 200 miles away in Oklahoma City. If that just doesn't hit you right in the center of your heart, I don't even know how to respond to this, quite honestly.
Mike Covert joined.
But if you're a dad, or even if you're a big brother, you have a younger sister, an older sister, for that, I can't even imagine what this family was going through. What a horrific tragedy. The family was frustrated, Fortenberry stated, after days of not getting any information from the Dallas Police Department, and Dallas police not taking any action. The family sought out the help of this agency in Houston. Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable. Fortenberry and the family plan to sue the Dallas Police Department, the American Airlines Center, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Extended Stay America hotels. When a 40-something-year-old man walks in with a 15-year-old girl and rents multiple hotel rooms, and then there is traffic coming in and out of those rooms, those are red flags, Fortenberry said. This girl was being sexually assaulted in a hotel room multiple nights. Anytime she could have been rescued from that sooner would have been better. This is just one of those thousands of stories that occur every year here in the United States, child sex trafficking. Many folks don't want to face the harsh reality that this is happening here in the United States, but it unfortunately does happen and has been happening for a very long time. We've got to get to the bottom of this, folks. I've said it over and over again. We've got to do what's right. I'll do my part. You do your part. God always does his part. And that'll just about cover it for the news tonight. Thanks for listening to me share that story. I was looking at the news articles like I normally do. And by the way, Mike, I do see that you're on. And so if you're watching the stream, we're going to catch up with you here in just a minute. I've got the motivational or the encouraging word of the day we're going to do here next. So just a second. I also want to mention as a reminder, I'll be out of town next week to celebrate 20 years of marriage to my best friend and my lovely bride. We'll be headed to Vegas. That's right, Vegas, baby, to shop, dine, and maybe even hit the tables. The craps tables is what I like to hit. Not that we're big gamblers, but anyway. So tonight will be the last broadcast until after Memorial Day. I'll be back in the studio on Tuesday, May 31st. And we've got a lot of wonderful things coming up in the hopper, lots of interviews and wonderful things. So wishing you all a safe and enjoyable holiday weekend. It'll be Memorial Day. And I know here in our neighborhood, they've got the flags up. And it reminds me of growing up on Arcola Road back in Northeast Ohio. We lived right next to a cemetery. And when I was, old enough to finally appreciate what Memorial Day was about, they always did, the honor guard would come to the cemetery and they would do their ceremony right there on Memorial Day. And always a somber moment for those that have paid the ultimate price. That's what Memorial Day is all about. All right, our encouraging word of the day here. This mission of our broadcast, I've said this before, is to encourage you in the way. This is primarily dedicated, this broadcast, to those that are followers of Christ Jesus, our Lord. Encourage you in the way that leads to truth, freedom, and hope found only in Jesus Christ alone. And today's encouraging word comes from the Apostle Paul during his imprisonment in Rome to the church at Philippi, focusing what we all need to focus on, and myself especially, on the humility of Christ himself. And in Philippians chapter 2, what we find is some encouraging word from the Apostle Paul, and we read, "So if there is any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love and any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourself. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Having this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men, and being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Therefore, God has highly exalted him and bestowed on him the name that is above every name, so that at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under earth, and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Amen." That's our encouraging word of the day, taken from Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. Thank you for that. It's just, again, I say in the morning when I spend just a few minutes preparing my script, and I've said this before, I'm not in this for the money, I'm not in this for the fame, not with 30 followers on Truth Social. I really don't care. Haters are going to hate. People are going to come and attack me for standing out front and to speak the truth to those in power and authority. There is a cognitive dissonance in our society. People don't want to face the harsh reality, just like I shared on the child sex trafficking. Most of the establishment organizations have been compromised. And so how do we return power back to the people? Well, I'm happy to introduce my next guest. This is an intro for our guest, Mike Covert, this evening. So one of the things that I wanted to do before we welcome Mike is Mike has been in the Low Country for long. He's originally from Virginia. He's been in our community for years. He's a successful businessman, launched his own family-owned local HVAC company, Covert Air, with his wife, Teresa, and he's no stranger to politics, folks. I love Mike. He also shared airtime with our brother, Big Al Flowers, on Talk One Radio. And so he's a staunch advocate for conservative values. He's a former Beaufort County Council member and former Republican candidate, initially running for South Carolina House of Representatives, District 1, I believe, before deciding that he was going to take on the incumbent in State House District 118. And the incumbent is Bill Herb Kurzman's a nice guy. He's been in there for, 20 years now. And Bill's current term ends in November. So I know, I don't think anyone's running against Bill, quite honestly. But Mike Covert is a candidate for the Beaufort County Council 6th District. And yesterday he did participate in forum, and we're going to talk about that. So let me go ahead and bring over our wonderful friend Mike Covert, and let's bring him in here. And there he is. How about it? Mike, can you hear me all right?
I can, Jeff. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm doing fantastic, and thanks for holding on while I was trying to get through all of this. My family's going crazy here. I told you we've got I've been like Bob Vila, and not to mention the fact that my mother-in-law is here visiting because of my son's graduation on Monday. Saturday's a big celebration here at the Zapp household, and people are coming and going. I've got the noise gate on, so hopefully you're not hearing too much of the garage door opening, but you have your own family and you understand about that. But welcome to the Jeff.
Let's not talk about the to-do list that you're completed. So, mine's not done yet. But happy anniversary to you and your bride. I think that's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. Hey, that list, by the way, is never ending. It always seems I got one or two on the bottom of the list, and then all of a sudden she sneaks another one or five on there, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I love it. I love it. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time. I was just doing the intro, and hopefully I did it justice for you in terms of painting a little bit of background. Those that are listening tonight on the live stream, especially on Facebook, are familiar, and thank you for sharing that with earlier today as well. So it looks like we've got quite a few people that are tuning in. But for those that are unfamiliar with you, Mike, maybe they're new to the area. We know that this community continues to grow. I mean, it is growing leaps and bounds, and especially within the past few years. Why don't you just give a little bit of insight in terms of who you are and why you're running for Beaufort County Council District 6, please?
Sure. Well, as you said, I'm a former county council member for District 7. And people need to know that we just had the census go around, and so we've redistricted. So I've moved out of 7 and into 6. And it is an open seat. Come January, the chairman, who is in council seat 6 now, will be in council seat 5. So 6 is open. So anyway, we're running for that seat. And as you said, I served on county council. I was elected in 16. So I served from 17 to 21. I gave up my seat when the term was over. I ran for U.S. Congress in the 1st Congressional District here in South Carolina. And you're exactly right. Part of being a fiscal conservative, and I am a staunch fiscal conservative, and I try to practice what I preach. You have to know when, like the old song says, you got to know when to fold them. Well, running a congressional campaign, unfortunately, a lot of it is about the money. We realized, I had a team in 2 different states. We realized as time was progressing that there was not enough time and too much money left. That gap was it was unattainable to close that gap. So rather than keep trying to fundraise and take donations and contributions for that, we decided to stop because that would have been a waste of someone's money. Wouldn't be too smart for a fiscal conservative to keep doing that. Yeah, we had, I had $100,000 already invested of my own money. We decided, we've come this far, let's do something. I did run against Bill Herb Kurzman. COVID hit, threw everything out of kilter. Couldn't get out and see anybody, unfortunately, and I was fighting county council, who the chairman was putting on these ridiculous mandates. Anyway, I didn't win that. Ironically, Bill and I are very close. We talk some business almost weekly. He has been there for me when this campaign ever since the beginning. Is a great mentor, and some folks say, "Wow, you guys were pretty hot." That was like a Duke amount. It may have been, but that's water over the bridge. We're very close. We're very tight. I support him 100%. And that feeling is likewise. But Jeff, there is so much work left to be done here in Beaufort County. Looking at my silo of District 6, which is Sun City, half of Sun City, westward to New Riverside, and then south to Jasper County, we have infrastructure problems that have been ignored. Not one, not two, but multiple infrastructure problems. So behind the scenes over the last year and a half, I've actually been working. And I'm going to get a traffic light installed at Highway 170 and Del Webb Boulevard and Seagrass Station Road. That's what they used to call the side gate to Del Webb, Sun City Hilton Head. It's been talked about forever. Nobody really put the oomph behind it. All it took was to sit down and have conversations, even as someone as an unelected person over the last year and a half. I've been successful in getting that conversation. I have had conversations with SCDOT, Secretary Hall's office. I have a letter from the county's legislative delegation to the General Assembly, and that letter, signed by the representatives here locally, says, our support for you is 100% to get this done. So I'm getting it done. But in Sun City, there's been a problem with fire service. A lot of folks don't know this unless they live in there. The fire department to the furthest corner of Sun City can take 15 to 25 minutes, give or take, how many golf carts or alligators are on the road. And, if that was your mom or mine or anybody that's listening, in a life or death situation, that could be devastating. So myself, the Bluffton Township Fire District, folks in the county, folks in Sun City, got together, and I worked close with Mike Raymond, the former chairman of the Bluffton Township Fire District. And I'm dating it back to last fall. It's been announced we're going to move the Bluffton Township Fire District and EMS station to inside the Sun City gates. That's going to cut down on response time. That's going to cut down on some folks' insurance, your homeowner's insurance, being so close to a fire department. The list goes on with infrastructure that needs to happen, but people need to realize that even though I'm not in office, I've been doing that work already. I have the relationships already. I know where the bones are buried in this county all over. There's no learning curve. And Jeff, we are this is an opportune time for citizens and voters of this county, because there are I believe it is 7 council seats that are up for re-election or filling a new empty seat. It's not new news for me to say county council's coverage in the newspapers is always like, what's the next scandal? That's pretty much apropos for them over the last several years. I've exposed a lot of it, if not all of it.
Well, we
This
saw
is an
the whole
opportune
Ashley
time.
Jacobs situation and others,
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
you're getting ahead of me. I'm gonna reel you
Oh,
back in
okay.
like a past. Well,
No
we're
worries.
old talk show hosts here too, so I wanted just to float a couple things off, just to kind of a little back and forth. But I appreciate you going into that, because what I wanted to say is thank you so much for deciding to run to throw your hat back in the ring, because here's the reality, and you kind of covered this. Our county has grown significantly, and it's going, based on, all indications, it's going to continue to grow. I mean, the word is out on the street. Bluffton, Sun City, this area is hot. The market
Yeah.
is high right now. I mean, I think 3 or 4 of my neighbors within the past 6 months have sold their houses for 200 plus $1,000 above and beyond what they thought they would get. And so, we've got you said infrastructure issues, traffic is an issue. So what do you think, tell the voters out there why Mike Covert is going to be our best bet to have another conservative voice and on the
Mm,
county council. Tell us
sure.
why it's important to have somebody with your experience and your knowledge. You've already been in the fray before, to be serving
Well,
the
yeah,
president of
because
Beaufort County.
it is the fray, and there's no learning curve. I had that previously. I already have built the relationship with the people that are necessary. The folks in Columbia at the Department of Transportation, the General Assembly in Mass, the Senate. I have relationships with those folks, the legislative delegation, municipalities, and across this county and neighboring counties. I'm even working on stuff that has to do regionally on a solid waste plan that would mimic Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. So what is all that, and we can go into that later, but what does all that mean to the voter? Because anybody can get up here, Jeff, and say, please vote for me. I want lower taxes and better schools and cleaner water and whatever else. And that's all true.
Right.
But with Mike Covert, that's all. That's a fugazi. I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to get. We're going to put that traffic light up at Delaware Boulevard and 170 to save lives. We're going to move that fire department in Sun City to save somebody's life. We're going to fix the traffic circle at 170 and 46 to make the traffic jam in Pritchardville go away. And the list goes on. I have the plans. I have the relationships, the conversation. And if anybody knows me, I'm a doer. I'm a get it doneer kind of guy.
Well, you're all in, now that I say you no longer have your business, correct? You have moved on from that.
Yeah, somebody came. A group came in and bought it, and we went full circle.
Yeah.
That's what the whole idea was. So
That's what it's all about. Business from entrepreneurship. You and I
Mhm.
both know that you want to build a business, and you did a very successful business that you had with HVAC, and you sold it. So you are able to, and you say, getting back in the fray, you're able to dedicate full time. You're not just saying all these fluffy, nice things so you'll be elected. You want to be practical and get stuff done.
right. There are specific things that need to be done. This is no time. This is no time for fluff and foo foo. This board could be flip flopped by 7 seats, and we could get rid of the scandal. We could get rid of the corruption. Jeff, I've already told everybody that's running for office and those that aren't, that when I get in office, I want their vote to be the next chairman of county council. That's how serious I am about this. I want to make I don't want to make the difference. I want to be the one that helps the other 10 as a whole make the difference in Beaufort County.
Well, we definitely seen. I mean, I try to look at this as objectively as possible. Certainly, I'm a conservative, just like you are. So, I don't want big government. What we saw
No.
during COVID, and I want to kind of step into this just for a second, and then I want to kind of segue into how things went yesterday at the forum. So think about this. We saw during COVID, and trying to continue, all these massive overreach of government from the local level all the way up to the federal level.
No,
And that's not what we need. We don't need bigger government. So
no,
your
no.
take on this, as I'm assuming, is you're conservative. So we want to see the return of power back to the people and to stay out of our lives. I mean, we've got a state constitution that we're supposed to be following, by the way. So
Absolutely.
how do you address this situation, whether it's a quote public health emergency,
Mhm.
social distancing and masking our kids at schools and all the stuff that falls under the council. How do we address that as we move forward?
Well, I think that all of that begins with leadership. And if you have leadership who either drinks the Kool-Aid or is not really conservative, they're more center to center progressive.
Right.
That's what you're going to have because that's where we are. I spoke out when I was still on council when COVID started. I spoke out publicly on television and in other meetings against these mandates that council chairman Passament was putting on people that he wasn't saving anybody. What that was doing was limiting people's access to their government. It's not his government. It's not my government. It's the people's government. And you have to have leadership that begins that conversation to not, get into the national frenzy of I don't even know what you want to call all that, but that's what they bought into. I don't buy into that. I'm a free thinker. We can all think for ourselves. That whole thing was a debacle. But to answer your question, it starts at leadership, and you have to know, you know, who is the leadership, because when you know who they are, when you know how they think, then you can look at things like this or other problems and begin to have that mold already started to be cast. This is where that guy or that gal is going to lead us, the path that we take it down. I choose to take people down the path of good Christian principles, conservative principles, and the Constitution. I believe in home rule. The government is not, this diamond, and the federal government is here. It's upside down. The federal government is at the bottom. That's the last place you should go for help and assistance. It's local.
Oh, I agree
That's where it
there.
starts. That's
100%. Like I said, one of the things that is good out of, I say, if you look at any good that's come out of the past few years with the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything else, and I'll say it, I don't care if I'm banned on Facebook because I'm a maverick at heart. I really am. And I really have a servant's heart in terms of servant leadership. So I
you
want to
do.
serve others, but we 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 are one nation under God, right? Indivisible with liberty and justice for all. If we are really a constitutional republic, and what we just went through the past 2 years, everything from this pandemic to the rigged elections, there's so many questions. A lot of us naively believed, or led to believe, that those elected officials were really looking out for we the people. What we find out, that's a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah.
So, General Flynn talks about local action makes a national impact. More and more people are now getting involved.
Mhm.
And I'm just happy to see you step back in and say, you know what, this is what, because we need leaders like you. We need leaders like Keith Blanford and
Mhm.
Lauren Martell and others that are saying, you know what, the hell with this. I'm
Yeah.
getting back in. I'm going to serve the people because we want to return power, as Trump says, back to we the people.
We the
And we
people.
want to make sure it's not about the government running everything. Hey, how about letting the citizens of
Right.
this county, state, nation do what we're
Yeah.
supposed to do? So I wanted to follow up the question, though, because we had a chance to talk a little bit about what you stand for. There is, was it Anna Marie Tabernac yesterday at the forum? I wanted to just kind of get some insight. I wasn't able to attend. How did it go? And, what do you see in terms of an opponent with this particular race for County District 6?
Well, it was billed as a debate, but it was not a debate. There was no debating. It was a forum.
Okay.
It was pleasant. Ms. Tabernick and I, there's nothing hard feelings. I mean, nothing. That was furthest from the truth.
Right.
Good questions. They were solid questions. And the thing that I found, and I make notes while other people are talking. Again, this is not my first rodeo, so I know how to prepare and I know what to do during these things.
Right.
I It was interesting to hear Ms. Tabernick say, and 6 times I had little etches that I agree with Mike and what he said is right. And that's a quote. That's a quote. You know, I heard that many times that I was thinking, well, wow, she agrees with everything that I'm saying. Why are we even having this discussion? Now,
Yep.
later on, after the event, and Al Flowers was there, and he he took notes rather, and then taped a conversation with us both afterwards. And part of the rules that they set up for him to do that was that each of us had to get a copy of both interviews. Fair enough. In hers, she said that well, we agreed on about everything, and that's not true. We didn't agree. She agreed with me 6 times. So I say that kind of in with some humor that at least she's agreeing with me. But if she agrees with me 6 times in a 40-minute session of questions, why are we even having this conversation? But it was good. It was healthy. We joked with each other because it was hot in the room and there wasn't anything to drink and stuff like that. So she was very pleasant. I appreciate her being there and taking her time, as well as Ms. Cannon, who was kind of the creator, so to speak, of this.
Okay.
So
Well, good. Well, I'm glad that, it is important to be able to stand up in front of folks and have a forum like that to get some ideas and thoughts and hopefully
yes,
some meaningful dialogue. I know that Al and I, she would have Tab on the program, and I've never met her in person, but she seems really sweet. But at the end of
yeah,
the day, that's my point too, Mike, is
yeah,
we want the best person for the job, not just somebody that says a bunch of nice, wonderful things to get elected and then either doesn't do what they're supposed to be doing, so then it just kicks the can down the road,
right. We
or,
we we
they
don't
could
have
just
that luxury right now.
yeah, we don't, and that's just it. So I wanted to say, some of the issues that are plaguing our community, our county, it's priority. I mean, we've got to act. It's like dire. So what do you foresee? I mean, let's say that everything goes well with the campaign and
Yeah.
you're elected in November at the polls. What do you foresee in terms of some of the let's say the top three issues? And before I do that, those folks that are listening, I just posted on the screen, but if you want, we're going to open up a Q&A when we're finished here. The number for the studio here, and I have it up, is 843. That's 1-843-305-3075. Mike has generously offered his time to answer any questions. I would
Ask
just
away.
preface it, please make sure, whether you agree with Mike or myself, that let's just have some civility here. That's all I got to ask for. I'll be more than happy to answer the calls, but I want to open up the phone lines now to take any calls or ask any questions to Mike Covert that you might have. So 843-305-3075. Go ahead, Mike.
So your question was top things that need to be done. There's really, because of what I said, that not only do I want to represent District 6 and the folks out here in Pritchardville and Okatee, but I have all intentions of becoming the next county chairman. So there's actually like two sets of things we're working on. There are things that, and I've already mentioned with District 6, some infrastructure things that are important. But overall, with the county council, the first thing is we need to change leadership. We need to begin to gain the trust, and that begins with transparency at its highest level. We need to have full open meetings. We need to have, if you can't make a meeting, that it absolutely has to be on social media platforms such as this. Whatever it takes to give everyone in the community the ability to get to their representative. Here's one for you. Do you realize that there has never been someone with American Sign Language at a county council meeting? Thank the Lord, it hasn't been, someone hasn't asked for it, because that would have been a huge lawsuit. I'm going to make sure that we have someone that is proficient in American Sign Language. or whatever the name of that is. I don't read that. Available. Those kind of things need to be available. We need to have the county council meetings in the 3 areas of the county, in northern Beaufort County, in Bluffton, and in Hilton Head, on a rotate. And we used to do that. That gave more access to government. And as I say, Jeff, all the time, and you just said this exactly, I am the representative of the people to the government, not the government's representative to the people.
We need more transparency. That nonsense where it was a closed session or whatever, executive session. Remember during the pandemic and COVID nonsense, that was crazy.
I remember it all too well because I started to expose some of what was going on behind executive session closed doors. And, there are laws that exactly state what can and can't be talked about behind closed doors. And when you peel that onion away, you get down to basically personnel. And the county council only has one employee, and that's the county administrator. Talking about the director of the XYZ department, that is not a county council function. That's getting into the daily business, and there's a law against that. So personnel and contractual matters of a legal issue. In other words, if it's client privilege, attorney-client privilege, then it's probably not able to be talked about until whatever it is has been expunged or the case is over or what have you. That's it. When you start talking about making a little mini MINI government, whether that's done behind closed doors in executive session or take a secret vote here and there, nobody will know, or in a restaurant with 4 or 5 people get together. All of those closed door meetings, that stuff has got to stop. Has got to stop.
There's no doubt in my mind. I agree. That sunlight is the best disinfectant. That's the reality that people, and myself included in this camp as well, for a few years that I just, we've been here 10 years. And when we first moved to this area, I figured, well, hey, I'll just kind of get the feel for the local government and what's happening here in the town of Bluffton and so on and so forth. And I figured, well, hey, people must be doing a bang up job doing their best thing. But once you start to get into the politics, into the weeds, it's an absolute mess. And what you just showed, and I'm glad that like Maria's running again and others. I know there are some really great conservatives out there, and I shouldn't be just using that term, patriots, people that really want to do what's right and lead for the people, to serve the people. But it's going to take a while to kind of to clean up the mess. Let's just use it that way. So what do you think, if you're able to successfully run and win and then make it, to chairmanship, what do you foresee some of the things that you'll be able to institute or instill in terms of those changes that are required to make things a little bit better for the people?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And there's a lot of balls in the air, a lot of juggling to do. If, enough seats are changed or flipped and you see a completely new face of council, that would make it obviously so much easier because you don't have any roadblocks. You can hope, but you need to plan for the worst. But as chairman, there are some things that can be done. You have the latitude to be able to call current committees and or add or remove committees to do a myriad of things. And where I'm going with that is some of the things that the county is doing needs to be looked at from a county council level publicly. And that begins with the number of lawsuits that Beaufort County is involved in. For a long, long period of time, Beaufort County has been rather braggadocious about this. If you don't agree with us and you take us to court, we will win because we have more money than you and we will outlast you. That is not the attitude. And I'm not making that up. That's very serious. That is not the attitude to have of a county government. So, you can't go in and flip the light switch But those lawsuits, we need to end those. There are many, many, many. They were there when I was there, and they're still there. And people are racking up ridiculous amounts of money that the county that they pay taxes to is charging them.
I was going to say that's
From
taxpayer funded money right
yeah,
there that we're paying for all these, especially folks that might be new to the county that haven't followed some of these lawsuits. And we don't have to get into the great details
no.
of them, but if you want to talk
And
about what,
there's one of the things I had mentioned earlier. There is state law that says what a county council or a county commission or whatever can and cannot do. And one of those things that it cannot do is become a county council cannot get into the daily, office routine of the county. That is a no-no. And for the last several years, that is exactly what county council is doing. Former county administrator Ashley Jacobs was putting a stop to that until she got railroaded. And Administrator Greenway, super guy, does a good job, but he allows county council members to come in there and they are dictating. And this isn't hearsay. I have tapes. I have been there and seen it. If anyone denies it, we'll be glad to go down that road. But be that as it may, that needs to stop. We need to let the county administrator do his or her job. And because that is our employee as county council, we hold them accountable. We don't, it's not our purview to go make sure that the Parks and Recreation Director, orders the right number of staples. That is not our job. That is why we have an administrator and who's being paid exceptionally well. We need to let them do their job. That's another thing that almost immediately can happen. And I plan on that's going to ruffle some feathers, but it needs to happen.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. It definitely does need to happen. And I'm excited that you've decided to move forward and you're fired up, you're passionate, and you're the type of man that we need or woman. I mean, we need women in there as well. I don't want anyone to misinterpret. What I'm saying is you're no stranger to this. So it's good to have you in the fight, Mike. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
I just want to mention again to those that are listening on the live stream, don't be afraid to call in. We're not going to jump on you. You have a question about anything. Mike has quite the experience. So if you have questions for Mike or for me or anything in general, please give us a call now here in the studio, 843-305-3075, 843-305-3075. We would appreciate that, and we'll get to your call. Mike, so with your free time, if you have any free time, are you spending any quality time with the family? Are you getting a chance to do any fishing or getting out or doing anything fun? I mean, I know this stuff is important, but are you having a chance to just unwind a little bit?
Well, yes. And, people ask all the time, how much time does it take to do that? And it can take, you can put as much as you want into it. What you put into it, you will get out of it. And your constituents, more importantly, will get out of it what you put into it. So, I sold my business. When I got off council, we built a house. I had a yard that I thought I was retired. I had a picture perfect yard. And then Uncle Sam came calling, and I'm too young to be retired. So it worked out very well. I work for I'm a technical consultant for a heating and air conditioning manufacturing group that carries the Mitsubishi Electric and Trane American Standard brands. And I work from home. It's a great place to be able to still be in that game and keep sharp. But I don't have to go into an office. I work from poolside a lot, as you can probably tell. So I enjoy that.
That's very convenient to be able to optimize that balance. So you're still engaged and you're passionate about helping out the community. And so this is a great spot for you to be in. It's like you've been called to this particular place. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that's why you feel like you've been called to get back into the county council.
Oh, without question. Without question. I've sat back several times over my life, the latter years, and when I look at everything that I've done, I mean, back when I was a teenager, I volunteered on the we used to call it the rescue squad, and the fire department. Everything was volunteer, and
Right.
I've always done, and it wasn't my decision. I guess some sort of higher being was involved. But even my business, it's about serving people. Nobody
Right.
called us at Covert Air because they were happy and wanted to share cookies. They called because they were hot or cold. So we serve the people. The foundations that I started when I was in business was to serve people. I mean, I didn't do it for any other reason than to serve those that needed a hand up, not a hand out. And here I am again. I really firmly believe this is what I'm supposed to do.
Well, it's a humbling experience to go through that. It's great to have a business. It's great to earn money. It's great to be able to spend on certain things. But at some point, like you said, you're too young to retire, and I feel the same way. As I don't really, my belief biblically is I don't believe in retirement. That God has called us and equipped each one of us to carry out, well, his goodwill and pleasure. Ultimately, it's for his glory. But my belief is that people always have something, an impact. They could be helping out in the community or in their
Mhm.
families, in their neighborhoods, right? That's when we
Big time.
we have to be involved. Look at what all the CRT and the nonsense within the
Uh,
schools. We've allowed it, unfortunately. And like I said, I'm just as guilty as the next person. So I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm really just preaching to myself. There were some years where I just felt, because I was busy raising younger kids and working, building a business, that perhaps, I just assumed that Mike Covert, he's the elected official. He's got it all under control. Instead of having some checks and balances that are supposed to be there, having some accountability and some transparency in the local government all the way to the federal. And we see, I call it a clown show, but up in DC, I think it's a captured operation. I don't know what your
uh,
thoughts on it. I'm going to open it up to anything under the sun right now. But those are my two thoughts. I just wanted to say thank you again for deciding to run. We need more Mike Coverts. We need more Lauren Martells. We need more common average people that just want to make an impact and
yeah.
return the power back to we the people.
Yeah. And you don't have to, if county council is, public speaking and really putting your neck out there because you are, if that's really not your gig, people need to know that, I mean, we have boards and commissions that that do a lot of the actual work. We may vote on it becoming an ordinance and codifying it to law or whatever. But
Right.
like the planning commission, that's a board of 11 people appointed by county council to really do the work of planning for the planning department. Zoning, there's a parks and recreation board, a library board, you name it. We probably have a board and commission for it, and every municipality does too. And those are very, very important. And again, if you want to get involved but you don't want to be way out there and on the chopping block all the time, boards and commissions are a great way to be involved. There are, if you're in District 6 right now, there are quite a few that either are open or will become open once January comes around. So I look forward to finding folks that want to do something, and that's not too time consuming, but still be involved and be a voice of really what goes on in your county.
So true. Well, Mike, I'm unfortunately, I'm kind of surprised we don't have any callers, but who knows what people are doing on this late Thursday
I know,
night.
I know.
But the nice thing is, at least they'll have an opportunity to listen to the podcast. We'll have that up. But I just wanted to give you the last word. If there's anything else that you'd like to say to those voters out there tonight, that again, maybe this is the first time having an opportunity to listen
Sure.
to Mike Covert, as well as an opportunity when you're finished to plug, where can they go if they want to contribute, support, and help out Mike Covert for Beaufort County District 6 as well, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with everyone.
Absolutely. The what I can say is to folks that are listening or will listen is that I appreciate your time to take you. We've been on here a minute or an hour and 3 minutes. That this has been live. Your show's been live. So I appreciate your time. And as a county council member, it is important to let you know that you are appreciated. And with Mike Covert, this is what you get. This is not a pretty picture. It's raw. It's real. I never back down from a debate. People ask questions from all over the county to me. I'm known as one of the most accessible county figures there is, because that's my job. And I don't feed people a line of baloney. I answer your question, and if I don't know the question, I'll find the person that does, and get that to you. That's the way I've always done business. That's the way I'll always continue to do business. I'm fortunate, very fortunate, that I have been endorsed by 2 Republicans of the Year in Beaufort County, 2 former Bluffton Republican Club presidents, 3 former county council members, 2 former school board trustees, a current school board trustee, and 2 current county council members, and a state representative. So I couldn't be more blessed that those people have that kind of confidence in me. And one of the things with running a campaign, whether it is county council or up to Congress, it is expensive and it does cost money. I have been very fortunate. We have raised a lot of money doing this campaign, and it's all being spent very wisely. And it can be viewed at the Ethics Commission website. I don't know it off the top of my head, but just Google SC Ethics and it comes right up. The point I make about raising money is that if you as a candidate can raise money for an elected office, that means you have the ability to influence decisions. And in this game of politics, you have to be able to sit down across the table with people that are like-minded folks. That's neither here nor there. It's those that are not like-minded that you need to sit down with and find a common ground, being verbal, being vocal, being transparent, and come to a response for your constituents as a whole. Being able to raise money means you have the influence to make decisions and have people on board with you. We've got just a few weeks left. Absentee voting starts on the 31st of May. The primary itself is on the 14th. I ask for your vote. I need your vote. I don't want to see District 6 slide backwards. We've got to make big changes. If somebody wants to contribute to the campaign, all they need to do is get a hold of me. We do the old school paper checks and credit cards, but I took it off of being online for 2 reasons. One, I found that some of the sites were being hacked, and 2, again, as a fiscal conservative, I believe in trying to cut expenses and save money where necessary. A website for county council campaign just seemed like not a wise expenditure of money. We're putting it in places that I can reach more people. So you won't find a Mike Covert website. I just don't think it's necessary. I have active social media pages. They're all over the place. Feel free to go in and check it out. More importantly, call me, email me. I give out my personal phone number. People know where I live, my address.
Yep.
Get a hold of me, and I love to talk, as you can tell. And whether you like what I say or don't like what I say, we can still talk about it and come to a resolution, and then carry on like two humans at the end of it.
Well, that's it, folks, and integrity especially. And I love the fact that you just say that about being able to have some civility. We need to bring some meaningful dialogue back to the public square. We've been lacking it for too long. I think social media, I don't really care for social media that much. I mean, I'm trying to leverage it in terms of a broadcast. But at the end of the day,
if I didn't have to do it, I don't know that I would, to be totally
Right.
honest with you. I
I'm with you, Mike. I
I don't
agree. I
know.
agree with you wholeheartedly. But I notice on Facebook. So I think Facebook is probably one of the platforms that people can
Yeah.
go. They can search for Mike Covert. It
Yep.
says political, and you can click on that information there. And then if they want to donate, like you said, you're kind of in terms of being able to do it, write a check or to see you in
Absolutely.
person, what have you.
Yep.
You're
We'll
very
take a credit
transparent
card.
you're very transparent when it comes to being available and open and certainly be able
Absolutely.
to be reached. So I just want to say thank you. And for all the listeners that unfortunately didn't call in tonight, but I think this is going to be great. We'll have it posted as a restream and it'll be available on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know what happened to Rumble tonight, by the way. I'm
Mm,
having lots of folks text me, family members, my brother David, and I think my mom just sent me a text and said, "Hey, it's not on Rumble." But I'll
mm,
make sure that the restream is there for everyone.
sure.
I will
Yeah.
send you the link to it, and then it'll be available on a podcast later this evening. This whole,
Yeah.
and I'll cut out
Awesome.
just the portion just for you as well, Mike, just because I like you.
That's you're a good guy. You're a good man. If I can add one little snippet, um, I have folks all over the county in different places. You can call them plants or whatever.
Yeah,
I actually have a very close friend who is a Democrat, active in the county party, who told me that they meet very. That's a very well run bunch. I'll have to say that, and I think
yeah,
we've all known that.
sure.
But the county party has been meeting, and there is a Democrat running for this race. They are really, 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 really hoping that I don't win. They know that I would smash their candidate. They are really hoping that my opponent wins. They feel that that is a level playing field, or even slightly to his hand.
Yeah.
So if for those folks who have been thinking, I don't know if I want to vote, it's a primary. If you want to see this seat go to a Democrat, then either don't vote or vote the other way.
Well,
To
the
have
unfortunate,
that kind of information fed back to me that the Democrat Party is frothing at the mouth, hoping I lose, uh, is kind of a chuckle, but it's very serious.
well, I always say is if you're a Democrat, just take a look at that feckless old man that's up there playing
Oh,
president. If that's the Democrat Party now. I will be honest, even within the Republican Party, an establishment, we've got I call it the uniparty, but they're like wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean, we've got issues in the Republican Party as well. I won't get into
yes.
that,
Yeah.
but listen, what you see is what you get with Mike Covert, with Jeff
Yep.
Zapp, and we want to be transparent and honest, and we want to do what's right at the end of the day. So, Mike, I just want to say again from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for coming on the Jeff Zapp Show. I greatly appreciate it. Folks, if you have a chance to want to help out Mike Covert and his campaign, go to Facebook and search for Mike Covert. The restream, everything will be available here shortly, and I'll have the podcast hopefully up by later this evening. But Mike, thank you so much. I'll give you the last word before we sign off here tonight.
God bless you, brother.
That was easy enough. All right. Well, thank you so very much. I really
All right.
appreciate it. I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to do my little quick sign off, and then we'll see you. So we'll catch up real
Okay.
soon. I'll talk to you after the show. Thank you so much,
All
Mike.
right.
Appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Well, how about that? I've said before, I mean, I had Keith Blandford on the show. We did a live interview. We had Lauren Martell. We have so many people that have decided. Now, Mike is a little bit different because he's been in the fray before. But what we have seen over and over again is more people are saying enough with the nonsense. I'm going to get involved. And quite honestly, I don't care whether you call yourself a Democrat, independent, or Republican. If you want to do what's right and you are really interested in returning this, whether it's the local level all the way up to the national level, back, returning the power, rightful power and authority to we the people, then by all means, if you feel God is calling you to do that, you should do that. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I will mention again that I'm going to be out of the office, out of the studio. I won't be back until after Memorial Day. So have a blessed and safe Memorial Day weekend. The Zapper will be back in the saddle on Tuesday, the 31st of May, God willing, and we'll see you all right here on the Jeff Zapp Show. Thanks for tuning in. Would you please do me a big favor? Like, subscribe, and share this content with your family and friends. Send your questions, comments, or requests for interviews to info@thejeffzappshow.com. Visit our website at thejeffzappshow.com to sign up for our newsletter, catch up on archive shows, or to link to our social media. See you next time right here on The Jeff Zapp Show.